Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Raphael from Fujitsu and I will guide you today through our use case regarding an automated purchasing process within the manufacturing sector. I will show you what it is about a hybrid IT scenario where you will see both worlds, the business processes as well as the technical infrastructure behind it on a high level. So I will just jump into the presentation and show you what today's story is about. First, I want to show you the Fujitsu Factory in Augsburg, because then you get a little bit of the background which is behind this use case. Afterwards, we go into the use case itself. That means you will see the roles and the process itself and which preconditions we have for it, before we then go into the demonstration of it. Within the demonstration, I will show you the end-to-end process, how it works, which roles are involved, and we will dive into the dashboards deeper. We will have some drill downs onto machine level, and we will see how the purchasing process overall could look like. At the end, I will present you the high-level architecture. That means there you will see which components were used for this hybrid IT scenario and where SUSE could support us within this use case. But before we start, I want to give you a few words about my person, so you know who is guiding you through this presentation. I'm now working for Fujitsu since 2012, that means for more than 8 years now. I'm located in Germany and I'm an SAP senior consultant. That means I'm mainly in the area of business intelligence. My main focus is on the systems business warehouse, business objects, as well as business planning and consolidation. Besides that, I'm responsible for our data management offerings for both consulting as well as the solutions we offer. And within this area, I'm also very often in the role as a project manager. I studied Master of Science and my hobbies are mainly everything regarding sports, and that's so far from my side. As I mentioned, I would like to start with our Fujitsu Factory in Augsburg, because there is some relation to our use case today. That means in 2018 we started with some initiatives for our factory in Augsburg, and what you see here, the numbers as well, are from this time. That means regarding the project we looked at the system board production, and in detail you can see there were 8 production lines. It was divided into automated, manual and hybrid stations. It was a pull production and there were 3 shifts per day. And what you also can see is the overall production of units per day in general. So that means, as you can see here, workstation servers, racks, system boards. So in total, it was a number about 17,000 units per day. And what I want to point out here, which will be quite interesting for our use case later, is the number of the system boards per day. So as you can see here, we have around 10,000 system boards which are produced every day. Please keep this number in mind, because later on you will see why it is important to have such processes, we will see later, in place to help the people taking some decisions when it comes to a production line and to machine outtakes. In case of being able also to show our cases and to have some sample data as well, and also to get some models trained and so on, we have a fabric simulator software from Fujitsu, which we use internally, and we can build basically the product lines which are behind this use case. So this is also, we don't have a direct connection to our factory, but we will use the data from this fabric simulator, and this is a highly complex software where you can really have very in details also failures built in and different topics covered, which we really value high for our use cases, because then you have also some real data, and you can also produce mass data if you want. So when we later on talk about our source for the manufacturing data, please keep in mind that we use this fabric simulator, but this is based, of course, not to 100% in detail, but in general based on our factory, which we will see later on, or some parts of it, and you will see what we are doing with the results. Getting to the use case itself, the description is in general that we want to have a central owned automated reorder process within our manufacturing environment. We have different roles for it. So we have the production manager, the maintenance manager, the purchasing manager, and the finance manager. The finance manager more in the way of having the budget, or being like part of the workflow. Then we had some preconditions, so that means that of course the maintenance contracts between the machine supplier and the owner exist already, and also that the issue classification and machine learning models have been implemented. This is important because also what you will see later on within our use case, it's very important to have some projects and workshops before, because you need the experience of the workers at the production lines to be able to classify certain like alerts or events, and this is a very important part as well within this entire project, which we will skip because we go this step further. We want to show this purchasing process in general. So as we stated here, this is like a precondition, but we have done it end of 2018, beginning of 2019 within our factory in Augsburg, as I mentioned before. So this is then the basic flow you can see on the slide, starting with an outage of a machine. So that means this will be identified within our runtime optimization dashboard. This risk is then pushed to the production maintenance managers. And I will show you this procedure then within our use case we pre-recorded, and it goes then through the notification to the purchasing manager, as well as to the order and delivery by our e-commerce solution. And yeah, this shows just a part of the entire process, which will also follow afterwards. So that means once you have the delivery dates in your dashboard, you of course will have also an update on your dashboard once it is delivered, so everything is green again. Yes, and our use case will show basically this entire end-to-end process. We now know where our data is coming from, so we will have now a look on our demonstration. Here you can see a hall and 4 product lines. These 4 product lines in our use case produce the system boards, the main boards you saw at the slide which I showed you, and I asked you to remember the numbers. So imagine having more than 10,000 system boards produced per day, and maybe on different lines. Yes. So everything looks green, but what happens when something changes? So this was recorded like in February, and at some point this is like the dashboard is now refreshed every 15 seconds. So once it hits some certain event, you will see some changes, And yeah, so here you can see it is now red, the first product line, the others remain green. So normally what you want to do is, well, I see my product line is red, so why is it red? We drill down a bit, so we look into the product line and we see the different machines. So the system board is going for different machines, and one part of it is like the paste machine, reform machine. You have a buffer for the THT oven, and some testing in the AOI, as well as in the ICT machines. So you see this machine is now red, so something happened there. What happened there? And when we click on it, we drill even more down. We will see, okay, it's the THT oven, and it's regarding the mask management. This is of course something which was predefined in the project. That means here you can see some ordering IDs. You can see some mask types, the loot sizes, and the status. And this is the classification I talked about before. Being able to implement the model will not solve you any issues. You need to know in which context you need to bring it. You need the experience of the production line workers and the production manager and the specialists, and then you need to classify different events, different outcomes. And here it was classified that if some certain events happen, then it will give an alert. If it will be a red alert or just a warning, which you can just have a look at, but it can move on. This is something you define in these workshops or projects. So in this case, we now see that we have different order IDs, and this is like a sequence. So that means you see order 4 will be fine, order 5 will be fine, 6 as well. But with order 7, there is some issue. So there are maybe some indications that too many masks will be broken at this time. So this is like a predictive visualization of the situation. And with this event on red, already a workflow was pushed. That means we now step into the role of the purchasing manager. So the purchasing manager received an email from the maintenance team and stating that there could be a machine downtime. So please consider ordering 5 pieces of mask type ML 6613. And this is the type we saw in the order ID 7. Then you see the cost for each article, and you also see the cost for all 5 pieces in total. You have a link here as the purchasing manager to the Hybris platform where you can order. And when we click on this link, you get to this now known as C4HANA system, like the e-commerce solution of SAP. And this is our shop we have in Fujitsu. Of course, depending on which part it would be, you need to order. The purchasing manager or someone else would go onto this portal. But in this case, we wanted to show the integration to our e-commerce solution from SAP. And you then need to enter your credentials. We log in, and you directly get onto your card where the mask type ML6613 with the SAP product ID number is selected. You also have the price, the quantity, so everything you saw in the email. And now you can just click on checkout. So this process is supported by all the systems and highly automated. When you then check out as the purchasing manager, you get we now step back into the shoes of the production manager, for example, or the production line manager, to get back to our dashboard. And then we can see that we have a change in our color for the product line 1. And this is only one way you can design your workflows. And we have chosen this way because with this email sending out and having this information, and then you have to log on into the e-commerce portal, this shows you each step. So we wanted to make it very transparent. Of course, you can have it also highly automated, depending on the demands of the customer. And one version we know and we can easily implement is, for example, that the production line manager will receive an information on his mobile phone, because we have on different systems we have responsive design, so we can easily do it. And then he only has to click one button to confirm this purchase order, for example, or to get to the next to get the workflow to the next step. So then the other responsible persons will confirm as well. So this depends everything on the use case behind it, and it can easily be changed. And what we see here now is that our color changed to orange. Then we go in, because this is like a warning, and here we see, okay, the color from the oven is not more deep red, it's now orange as well. We drill down even more, and then we see, okay, for our order 7, and this was the mask type we had in our email, as well as in the shop itself. And you see that because of the ordering process, the delivery is already expected, and you have as well a delivery time. That means this is a warning. This was defined as a warning. It's orange, and you don't have to do anything. Typically, when the order will be received, then the production line will work as expected. So this is like the end-to-end process from the start to the end. So what I would also like to explain you a bit more in detail is how you get to these classifications and where it takes place. Basically, when we receive the data, we receive every second data from the machines, from each machine, from each product line. What we have set up here is that we refresh it every 15 seconds, but you can also change it depending on your capacities of the systems you have in place. And we have used AI and machine learning models to train them with the data, and based also on the experience of the workers on the production line. And then what the model does is it always takes, like every 15 seconds, it takes the last 200 data sets and looks, of course, for patterns in it. And if it sees certain patterns, then it will give you the classification back as a response. And this is how it is implemented here. So what we have done now is like in machine learning terms called an anomaly detection. So if there is some values, if they are out of a certain pattern, then you get these classifications based on what you defined before. So this is now where our demonstration ends, which means we covered the end-to-end process from having an anomaly detected to classifying the results, and then having some actions taking place later on until the ordering, and then showing the delivery when it is expected. And I think some of you now wonder, now what is behind this? Because we saw some dashboards, we saw some emails going around, and some classifications. So where do these steps take place, and also what is behind it, and especially as well where does our SUSE is a huge part of. And maybe some of you think, well, it's now hidden like a chameleon, but I'm pretty sure we will find it on the next slide. So let's move on with our presentation. It's only one slide left, but just to show you the high-level architecture and the hybrid scenario, which systems are on premise, which we have built in a cloud, or which are in general in the cloud, and how SUSE also helped getting this use case running. Now, having a look on the architecture, we see at the bottom our two sources. That means our factory, which is in our case now the factory simulator you see under the number 1. So this is a software we have on our client, or we have on our server running it, and then we can get the data loaded into different systems. And the second part was, as I mentioned, the SAP C/4HANA cloud platform. That means for some of you it's known as the SAP Hybris. So this is the commerce version. We have it implemented as our e-commerce shop for Fujitsu, and this is basically running on Microsoft Azure in the cloud, and it's the new cloud or commerce cloud version 2 for the SAP e-commerce solution. So these two basically are working as a data source. Then we have and this is the core part, the SAP Data Intelligence. So data intelligence since short time, because this is the new version 3.0 from the SAP Data Hub. So there was a renaming. That's why you see on the slide sometimes SAP Data Hub or SAP Data Intelligence. But basically this is the orchestration tool from SAP, which you can also see here, because it's in the middle. It communicates to different systems. It gets data from A to B. It has some governance topics behind it. And so what we have done is we set this up on premise, and this is running on the SUSE Container as a Service platform, which was very valuable in this case, because, for example, there are some topics which can be easily installed. For example, like Grafana, there were some clicks to do, and you have it in one of your containers. But I will not go too deep into it here in this session. I think there are different sessions which can cover it. Of course, and then we have SUSE Enterprise Storage for some storage topics. Then we have a SAP HANA database for the topics like having fast calculation on different data sets. So what happened here now is we got the data from the factory, and within the SAP Data Intelligence we have our machine learning model which is consuming the data, and then we save the data basically in the HANA database. We mark which is containing some anomalies detected by our model, and then we move it to our dashboards and through the entire process. The SAP HANA database is also based on the SUSE Enterprise Server 15. And when we move on to the reporting level, on the top you see it in blue, then we have Grafana and SAP Analytics Cloud, so also known as SAC. So Grafana is also on the same platform as the Data Intelligence, and so basically the data and what it consumes. Of course, it is in the online version where you have to get access to, but the data is basically within the Data Intelligence. And then you have the Analytics Cloud, which is then our dashboarding tool, which you also saw. So when you see the whole and the 4 product lines, this is where the SAP Analytics Cloud was part of, and the Grafana is especially good for having data sets, so really second by second data showing, which we didn't cover here, but we have it in other use cases. So this is very valuable to have this combination for our use case. Yeah, so you see we have some on-premise versions, some cloud versions, and this is the hybrid IT scenario with with different systems to have this end-to-end process running. So at the end, I would like just to mention that all you can see here is built up by Fujitsu and also in cooperation with SUSE. That means all the consultants, data scientists, and basis consultants were staffed by Fujitsu. I was coordinating this topic. That means we have people who can design pipelines here in the SAP Data Intelligence, also get, for example, some libraries running. We have colleagues who created the dashboards in both SAP Analytics Cloud and Grafana. Then we had colleagues who supported us with the HANA database that we get our scripts running there. As we also are very familiar with BW for HANA and S4HANA as well. And currently we are also running a huge project within Fujitsu itself with the SAP C4HANA cloud platform. That means we are implementing, or we are moving from several B2B shops to the SAP Commerce Cloud solution. And so basically we stuffed it all on ourselves, and we have also different use cases which I didn't show here. So for example, we have quality assurance topics where you have also models in the manufacturing sector to get some predictive maintenance topics running apart from this what you saw here. So we have a lot of topics going on in the future as well, and this is like one example of many we have. That's why if you have any interest getting more information about our use cases or also about different ones like our quality assurance case, or we have several ones which we also have pre-recorded so we can demonstrate them quite quickly. If there are any questions, then don't hesitate to contact me. I inserted my contact details at the last slide, and yeah, I want to thank you very much for taking this time, and I'm happy to hear from some of you soon, also regarding some feedback to this use case, or just to have some discussions on these topics. And yeah, have a good day. Thank you very much and goodbye.